As a parent, have you ever been frustrated with your child dealing with the same problem over and over and over again? Have you ever lost your temper with your child and felt bad about it afterwards?
How would you like to correct your child for certain behavior and after a couple of times it changes for the better? Look, today we're going to teach you how to do this. We're helping you understand the difference between punishments and consequences. Hi, I'm Dean Sunseri. It's my wife, HollyKem. Welcome to I Have a Voice. Today, we're going to talk to you about consequences versus punishment and improving your parenting skills. So we're going to jump right in. And what is a consequence and what is a punishment? A consequence are the natural or logical results of an action. They're used to teach a lesson or encourage the desired behavior. Ideally, the consequence is an exercise in a desired behavior. For example, if your child's disrespectful, the consequence is an exercise in being respectful. Where a punishment is an act of discipline that's intended to discourage a behavior, but it's usually through the random taking away of a privilege. Like you say, taking away the phone. Everybody takes away the phone.
That's all they do, take away the phone.
Or through a scolding behavior, through screaming, through hollering, through raging, and trying to deter the behavior. And so we want to look at the differences because we want to encourage you to implement consequences and start moving away from punishment. So let's give you a couple examples. Say that your child is failing in school. Well, if they fail a class, they can go to summer school, a natural consequence, and they would have to pay for the summer school class. Where a punishment could be, you can't watch TV for a week.
Right.
You know, if they're not cleaning the dishes after dinner, what could be a consequence for that?
You have to clean dishes every week, like the whole week, every day, instead of just your day.
Where a punishment might be, you can't go to the game on Friday night
Right.
because you didn't clean your dishes. It's just random. If your child spoke disrespectfully to the teacher, the consequence could be write a note of apology to the teacher in a respectful manner. Where a punishment could be, you can't play Xbox for 2 days.
Which has nothing to do with it.
Now, you had run a halfway house for young adolescent girls who were sent there because they want drugs and alcohol. The whole basis of the halfway house is really having strict consequences.
Yeah.
How'd you establish that with the girls?
Well, beforehand, we had all the rules and what were the consequences per rule. So you knew in advance, this is what's going to happen. It's kind of like we know in advance, if you speed, you're going to get a speeding ticket and it's going to be so much per mile.
And so the consequences were communicated real clearly,
Very clearly.
right up front,
When
they came.
Yep.
You don't make your bed, this is what's going to happen.
Exactly.
You don't clean up your room, this is the result.
This is the result.
So the key difference between consequences and punishment is this. Number one, consequences is logically connected to the errant behavior, where a punishment is a random punitive reaction and it's often irrational and it's usually made when you're angry. A consequence teaches a lesson that's often results in the corrected behavior. How many of y'all want your child's behavior to actually change and not do the same thing over and over? Look, consequences promote that. Where punishment often creates animosity between the parent and the child.
Right. And that's what a lot of people get mixed up here is that they think that consequences are going to do the same as punishment. So some people just punish or they don't do anything at all because they don't want the animosity between them and the child. But consequences is very different. I'm not saying they're going to be happy about it. They're going to be smiling. But they need to know that you can hold the line.
Yeah. Consequences are connected to clear and firm rules, where punishments is often random, inconsistent, and connected to the mood of the parent.
Right.
Look, if I'm feeling good today, you only lose your phone for an hour, but if I'm upset, it's 3 days, right? So it's just kind of a random thing. With consequences, number four, the rule becomes the bad guy. The rule does. And the parent can actually have empathy for the child because the consequence is kicking in.
Right.
Where with punishment, the parent is the bad guy.
Right. Because it causes anxiety for the child because they never know what you're going to do when they do something wrong. And they're going to do stuff wrong. You're not going to have no perfect kid. I I mean, they're human beings. They're going to mess up. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to do things wrong. So punishment's the gig. Then it causes anxiety because they know I'm not perfect. I'm going to make a mistake, and then I have no idea what's coming at me.
Yeah, so if you're constantly giving punishments and they're just random, it often creates a lot of emotional chaos, right?
Yeah.
Not only for yourself, but for the child.
Right.
Where when you have clear consequences, it provides emotional stability. They may not abide by it all the time, but there's a certain safety in knowing what's coming, right?
Right.
If I don't clean dishes, I know I have to clean for the week.
Right.
All right, well, I don't know if I'm going to have the car taken away for a month or
Right.
if it's going to be, I can never talk to my friend again, or, I'm just being extreme, but that creates a lot of emotional instability.
Yes.
Number 5, consequences promote maturity, healthy independence, and responsibility, where a punishment promotes fear,
Right.
animosity, and emotional unpredictability. Talk about why consequences create safety for children.
Well, it's just like for all of us, you get to have a decision in it. If I'm going to take the risk in speed, I'm making a decision that if I do that, I'm taking the risk that I could get caught and I'll have to pay some money. So I'm just going to have to take the hit with it. So if I'm going to not do the dishes today and knowing that I'm going to have to do them all week, but I'm not going to be as mad at you because I already know I made that decision. So it starts to be where they making decisions about what's important to them and what isn't important to them.
Yeah.
I always say, like, if you tell your kid, clean your room, I've had enough. You were supposed to clean your room. So you need to clean your room, and you're not going to the party if your room is not completely clean by Thursday. By Thursday night at 7 p.m., if your room is not exactly like the way you know it's supposed to be, then you're not going to the party Friday night. And let's say you did this on Tuesday. If your kid does not clean that room by Thursday at 7 p.m., what that child has just told you that they really don't want to go to the party.
Mm.
But they have to make it about you. They have to say, my mom's such a that she won't let me come to the party because I didn't clean my room.
Yeah, that's good.
But really what they're telling you as a child to the parent is that, Mom, there's really going to be some unhealthy stuff at that party that I really don't want to go to, so that's why I didn't clean my room.
Oh, that's good.
So you need to learn to read the signs.
Yeah.
And you also need to make sure that they don't go to the party.
Yeah, and so when you set your rules, you need to follow through on them.
Yeah, because there's reasons.
Look, there's always reasons, and it's real important to be consistent. It creates emotional stability for your children when you do follow through on the rules.
Right.
And that's what we all want, right? Mature, emotionally stable children.
Right. And they're going to pretend like they're really upset that, I can't believe you're not letting me go to that party. But it's all part of the system of them not really wanting to say the truth about what's happening, but internally they know the truth. So, you need to trust that, and you need to hold the line.
Hold the line.
Hold the line.
And know that your rules actually create the safety for your
Yes.
children.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. So how do you implement consequences? Let's get real practical. Number 1, you need to identify whatever the repeated behaviors are that's a problem with your child. For example, if your child's constantly lying, then you need to think about what is a consequence to do when they do lie in the future, because you know it's coming. Or if the toddler's throwing food on the ground from the high chair, or if your adolescent is coming in late for curfew consistently. Identify, and you said it well, is what are the things that they're doing that what?
Aggravate you.
That's the ones that you need to say consequences
Yeah,
to.
it's the things that aggravate you as a parent, because then the house is not a peaceful harmony house.
Yeah.
Because now I'm always aggravated. You're always leaving your book bag at the front door. I've asked you over and over and over. Well, give a consequence for that. You don't pick up your dishes from the table. Now you have to wash the dishes.
Yeah.
Every day that you do not pick up your dish from the table, you wash everybody's dish and put it in the dishwasher.
And so they're exercising and learning how to clean. 'Cause
They
that's
learn
what
how
you
to
want
clean,
do.
exactly, because you want them to have a clean house.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
you don't want them to be an adult and every day they eat, they leave their dishes on the table. I mean, that's going to create issues and problems.
Yeah, so after you identify the repeated behavior that's a problem, then ask yourself, what is the desired behavior that you want them to learn?
Yes.
They're disrespectful, you want them to learn respect. Don't have table manners, you want them to learn table manners.
Right.
If they're coming in late, curfew, you want them to have an exercise in time management. So the third part is then you set up the consequence that's actually an exercise or teaches the desired behavior. So
Right.
give the example of the adolescent coming in late for curfew.
So let's just say you have little kids and teenagers. So you need to get to bed on early because you got to get up at 6 in the morning to feed the little ones, right? But the curfew's 11 o'clock at night, but you need to go to bed for 9:30 before 10 o'clock. Well, you set your alarm. You don't wait up. I mean, that's crazy. You set your alarm for 11 o'clock. And the teenager, when they come in, they have to turn the alarm off at 11 o'clock. So you don't get woke up, or you might wake up a little bit, but you can go to sleep. You know that that's going to go off. So if they're not home, then you worry. You don't worry before 11, you worry after 11. So you turn the alarm off if they're not there. So every 5 minutes that they're late, they get 30 minutes taken off the next night or the next weekend.
The next time they have a curfew.
Yeah, next time they have a curfew. So let's say they get to go out on Friday night and Saturday night. They have to come in 30 minutes early for every 5 minutes they're late.
Yeah.
So if they're 30 minutes late, they really ain't even going out the next weekend because they've done ate it all up. So that kind of solves that problem right there. So in that, they learn that if I'm late, there's a consequence. Because if you become late, a chronic late person at work, what happens?
You get fired.
You get fired.
Yeah.
And then you don't have a job. Then you can't support yourself.
Yeah. So that's a great example.
Yeah.
As they're exercising and learning how to have time management and to do that better, it's a natural consequence, a flow of that. So it's really good. Yeah.
And the truth is that our son never went anywhere, so he never had a curfew. Isn't that something? Like, we had all these rules ready, but he never even went out to have a curfew.
Yeah. What about unexpected behaviors or attitudes that you're not prepared to deal with and you haven't prepared a consequence for?
Right.
So our number one guideline for that is you need to delay the consequence until you cool off or calm down.
Yeah. And put your child in their room and you go in your room, or you get away from the kid and call a friend, call your husband, call your wife, whatever.
Take a warm bath,
Yeah,
whatever.
do something and reevaluate what's happening, what just happened, because you're going to be in shock. I can't even believe this just happened.
Yeah.
You catch your kid watching porn. Like, what do? You
So when you're really upset, you can say something like, look, I'm really upset about what you did, and we're going to talk about this later.
Right.
Or this is unacceptable, and we will deal with this at a later time.
Right.
So use that, because in healthy parenting, you need to allow yourself time to shift from the survival brain, or what we call the protector, right, to the true self, to the best version of who you are. And that's the part that's going to have the big consequence. The survival part is the reaction. That's, okay, you did this and you lost your car for a month and a half,
Right.
So it's usually an overreaction. That's the punisher.
Right.
Is the reactor. But you give yourself time to cool off, get yourself back, and then that's the part that you think through. What is the consequence, the desired behavior that you want them to have an exercise in?
Exactly.
Yeah. Look, if this has been helpful for you, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. We got plenty of parenting things. So in your halfway house, you have all these young women that were sent to you. They were basically had to leave their house because their behavior was out of control. And so you got a whole household of maybe 5, 10, 15 of them. 30. And you had relatively amount of peace overall, right? I mean, you were dealing with this. And so
there was much function, much respect. The house ran very smooth.
And the reason why it ran smooth was because of what?
We had consequences. You knew every rule up front, and you knew every consequence that was going to happen. And we followed it to the T. Everybody followed the consequences. When they were broken, the consequences were set, and they were followed, and we held the line.
You held the line.
We held the line.
And so if you can instill this and control 30 young girls who were sent there because they've been out of control
from all over and
they're functioning well, it can work for your family.
Yeah, we're talking about kids from 13 to 18 years old, runaways, serious runaways, drug addicts, alcoholics, acting out on anything and everything. This was it. There were some that didn't make it, but the majority I'd say 80, 85%, maybe even 90% made it.
Yeah, it's so good.
And they learned. They
Go
did
ahead.
well, too.
They did well.
Yeah, they were great.
I've met some of them over the years, and it's pretty extraordinary the respect and honor they have for you because
Right.
you were firm and you were compassionate.
Yes, I love them very much.
2 good resources that we have for you. One is 10 Tips to Healthy Parenting. There's a link in the description below. You click that and I will send you 10 tips for healthy parenting. And there's also another resource I would encourage you if you want to grow in your parenting and get to know some good strategies is this book, Parenting with Love and Logic by Foster Cline and Jim Fay. Excellent book, highly recommended. I also have a link in the description that you can get that today. Also, we did a video called Parenting the Strong-Willed Child and Setting Limits. Any of y'all have strong-willed children? Well, if you do and you really want some help in learning to set limits and to thrive in parenting that child, we can help you with this. Go ahead and click on that video right now and we will.
See you in the next video.
God bless.